Hello and welcome back to Live from Paris here on France 24. I'm joined now by Matthew Warren from our business desk.
Hello again, Lorna.
Hello. Well, the European markets have just opened up, so let's go straight to that. Are they carrying on making gains?
Yes, I mean, markets will want to see if they can continue those impressive gains yesterday. There were gains in Italy, Spain and France, all managed 2% or more yesterday. That was on the back of successful bond sales, and this is how things are opening up here in Europe today. Frankfurt just wavering around, so we'll see what happens to those during the day.
OK, and what about it over in Asia? It's all closed down there now, so how did they do?
Yes, Asian markets are all closed up now. We can take a look at those as well. Those finished all in the green. Some healthy gains there from the Nikkei, 1.5%. We've just heard, just as we were coming on, as I was coming on air here, that Moody's has downgraded two giants in Japan, Sony and Panasonic. Of course, those companies, along with a lot of other big Japanese companies, had a lot of problems last year with the earthquake, of course, with the floods in Thailand, which affected their production as well. So we'll see what effect that has on them next week.
OK, and talking of results and company news, some healthy results just in from IKEA.
That's right. People love their flat pack furniture, don't they? The Swedish furniture giant has announced profits up 10%. Now, these results actually are these are their full year results up to the end of August. And the chief executive, Mikael Olsson, has said that sales have actually speeded up in September. And the company is now looking to India. They're looking at these new regulations in India that will allow them to open there. And of course, that's a huge potential market for them there. So we'll see what happens with that.
More people in India losing the little screws and trying to decipher the instructions, perhaps.
Exactly.
But let's stay here in Europe now, because there's another day of talks in Athens as Lucas Papademos' government tries to hammer out a deal on its bonds. The Greeks have to persuade private bondholders to take a haircut of at least 50% or more, otherwise their next bailout payment won't be coming. There will be separate talks on Friday with the troika of the EU, IMF and the European Central Bank. They say a write-down on Greek debt is the only way it will underwrite Greece's next tranche of bailout funds. Oliver Farry has more.
Negotiations continue in Greece, with Athens staking its case on two fronts. There were further talks with international bondholders, whom Greece and the Troika want to take a haircut of 50% or more on their investment. Instead, they would get a cash swap and a repackaged bond deal. With the Troika insisting no further aid will come without bondholders taking a hit, the stakes for Greece are high.
We're at the moment of truth. Significant decisions are being made every day. Discussions of immense importance are taking place today. And the reality is, until tomorrow afternoon, many things have yet to be finalised.
Greece needs the next tranche of its bailout package to service a bond payout on the 20th of March. Economists warn that, bad as the situation currently is, a failure to meet that deadline could be catastrophic.
If we take into account the experience of several other countries that went bankrupt, social cohesion was really destroyed completely in the case of bankruptcy. I do not mean that the situation is easy with the austerity measures, anything but that. However, I have the feeling that the current situation is just a children's party in comparison to what we may anticipate in case of a bankruptcy.
The IMF said on Thursday it would like to beef up its bailout fund by at least $500 billion, but it could meet with resistance from Asian and American governments, who first want to see more progress on tackling the crisis in Europe.
Oliver Farry there. And a little bit like Greece, in fact, Ireland has also had a visit from the EU and the IMF.
That's right. I mean, Ireland's quite ahead of the other countries in the sense that they actually started their austerity programme in 2008 and they called in funds from the IMF and the EU in 2010. They had a visit this week as well, as you said, to see how they're doing on their deficit, getting their deficit down to 3%, the 3% target by 2015. And they got a pretty good report card on that from them. But of course, there's still challenges ahead with the global economy the way it is.
Indeed. Well, it's time now for some other company news. Shares in Google slumped by 10% on Thursday after an unexpected drop in its earnings. The company blamed a slump in pricing in its core search advertising business, combined with slowing growth internationally. Google's chief executive, Larry Page, said the company's social network, Google+, now has 90 million users. That's more than double the 40 million Google reported 3 months ago.
And General Motors has regained the #1 spot after producing over 9 million cars in 2011. The Detroit-based company emerged from bankruptcy protection in 2009 and had fallen to second place behind Toyota. Volkswagen took the #2 spot in 2011 with just over 8 million vehicles sold. Now, President Obama issued an executive order on Thursday aimed at streamlining the visa application process for foreign tourists. And not surprisingly, he chose nowhere other than Disney World to make the announcement. Winnie Andrews has more.
Cinderella's castle was the backdrop as President Obama unveiled how he wants America to become a little friendlier. Disney World is one of the country's major tourist attractions, and Obama's hoping some of its magic will rub off on his latest jobs plan.
More money spent by more tourists means more businesses can hire more workers. It's a pretty simple formula. And that's why we're all here today, to tell the world that America is open for business. We want to welcome you.
The problem for the U.S. is that its visa procedures have been all but welcoming since the September 11 attacks. New security measures and the lure of tourist attractions in other countries have taken their toll. The U.S. share of international travel spending dropped from 17% in 2000 to 11% in 2010. Obama hopes the U.S. can now improve its image as a top destination. And he's opening the doors particularly wide for China and Brazil, two countries with a burgeoning middle class. His plan increases the visa processing capacity in both countries by 40%. It also reduces visa requirements for low-risk travelers, like tourists who have previously been scanned. The U.S. travel industry currently represents 2.7% of GDP and accounts for around 7.5 million jobs. Obama hopes more jobs in the industry will boost his popularity and his chances of winning in next year's presidential elections.
Right, well, Matthew, we're going to move on to something slightly different now because New Year in China is almost upon us, and feng shui might be able to help investors, apparently.
Yeah, now, are you a devotee of feng shui? You say it very well.
Thank you. I have to say I'm not really, but I know it's all about not putting your bin in your money corner and making sure you haven't got your water in the wrong place.
That's right. Well, water is a key word in this one. It's all about these different energy channels, and as Monday, of course, is the start of the new Chinese New Year. We move from the year of the rabbit to the year of the dragon, and there's a brokerage in Hong Kong, CLSA, that produces predictions based on what that means and based on feng shui. And Philip Chow, who calls himself the feng shui master, has been giving an assessment of what the year holds.
One thing to remember is that the dragon is a very fast-moving animal, i.e., is also very aggressive and very energetic. So what it means is that you can potentially make a lot of money in the year of the dragon, but the window for action is actually very short. So we expect the market surge to be very violent. It will last for 4 months, and by December, all the gains would have been done.
Oh, so those are the tips for the year of the dragon then. I think that certainly sounds like a dynamic year to invest. Thanks very much indeed, Matthew, for that look at all today's business stories. And that's just about it from us for now. Thanks for tuning in, and do stay with us because Catherine Nicholson will be here with more headlines in just a few moments after the international weather next.